Hey everybody, Kim here with Lead Generation Source, and I know I'm coming on in the middle of the night. I probably won't get most of you, if any of you, but this will be here for when you wake up, right? So I wanted to quick talk about, I say quick, and you know my version of quick is not that quick, but I wanted to go over how basically like how to increase conversions online or your online conversions. And this is because I think it's important to see the whole overview. And so we're going to look at the general concepts of conversions, some problems with it, and then we're going to look at examples of e-commerce, affiliate marketing, and local marketing. And those are the three that I get most questions about. So I'm going to dive in, and if you are seeing this afterwards, feel free to leave whatever questions below. All right, so let's see here. All right, you see my little person here that I drew. I drew it for my daughter before she went to bed. So anyway, so here's my little person, right? So that's gonna be people, right? They're gonna be looking for your products, your services, your info. They're searching online. They're looking for something, right? So they are going to, here, let's change up the color a little bit. So they're going to be searching for you, well, for something, let's say, right? And then I'm not very good with paint and I couldn't find anything else to use. So they're going to be searching for you. And let's say that they're going to find your website, or this is ideally a goal, right? So this is going to be the super simplified version of online conversions. And then we'll expand on it just a little bit. So they're going to search, they find your site. And then from there, they're going to, that's not what I wanted to do. They are going to, oh, look, there's arrows up here. I could just use those, huh? They're going to take an action, right? So they're going to take some sort of action. So let's just say we're going to put a dollar sign there for an action, to represent an action. I wonder if I can make that bigger. And I should probably learn this on my own time, huh? There we go. So that should be a little bit bigger. And then let's see. I don't know if I can make this all bigger. Yeah, so we'll just make that a little bit bigger. It's kind of grainy, but it'll work. So this is the super, super simplified version. You've got somebody that's looking for something, they find your site and they take action. Now, taking action, of course, can vary, and we'll talk more about this, but generally you might have somebody in, let's say, e-commerce. Oh, sorry, those are my notes I'm messing around with. Let's say that you have somebody in e-commerce and they would ideally make a purchase, right? That's the whole point of e-commerce, is you're selling something, you want them to buy something. Now in affiliate marketing, you may have somebody signing up for something, or maybe they're clicking a link to go to the product that you're reviewing or promoting. And in local business, it might be something like you want them to make a phone call, that you want them to call you, you want them to schedule an appointment, whatever the next step is, right? So this is the goal of online conversions, is that somebody is looking for something, they find what you're offering, and then they take the next step, whatever that is. So an on-page conversion can be something even like clicking to another post, right? So this is where this is really basic and applies to just about everybody. So now let's go ahead and see if I can get this to be bigger even. All right, so now we've got some problems, right? So we're going to say problems. The first one being with this particular thing, the biggest problem that most people, I guess they fail to recognize, is that only 3 to 5% of your audience, or of your potential audience, is ready to convert, right? Only 3 to 5%. So if you have 100 people come to your site, 3 to 5 of them might, and of course, when we're talking about these are averages. So unfortunately, if you get 100 people, you may not get a conversion on your site, because that's an average. So you may, in order to reach that 3 to 5% average, you may need to reach 10,000 people. Every industry is different. There are different circumstances for all of it. So you just got to keep in mind that at any given time, 100 people could be looking for what you offer, but only 3 to 5 of them are ready to make a commitment of some sort, right? So that could be, and again, this varies. So obviously if it's, hey, click on a blog post, that's going to be a lot higher. But if it's, hey, make a purchase, schedule an appointment, give us a phone call, it could be 3 to 5%. It might be higher. And the exception to this that I typically say, especially for local businesses, is that if people are in a crisis, right? And this doesn't have to be local, but if they're in a crisis, and the easiest examples are like an emergency plumber. If they need an emergency plumber, it's not really about, they're not looking to research. And that's the thing, is that with 3 to 5%, you may have, 80% that are just in research mode, and then another 15% that are like, well, I'm almost ready to buy. I just need to kind of get an idea what's out there. Right. And they're just getting ready. And then you've got your 3 to 5% that are ready to buy. Now that number varies again, like I said, but that's just generally a rule. So that problem is what a lot of people don't recognize, is that they put all of their effort into driving traffic up front. So we'll talk about a solution in just a minute. So the second problem that a lot of people face with online conversions is that when people search, they're not getting found. So I'm going to say not getting found in searches. And this is a very common problem, because people think that if you go back into 1999 days, you could put something online and you'd randomly get found. There was really no rhyme or reason to it, but just getting the content out there was less competition and people would eventually find you, and usually pretty quick. Nowadays, that doesn't work so much. Like, you can put stuff out there and never get found. It's just the way it is. So you have to have specific elements in place, and we'll talk about solutions again in a minute. So then the third problem that I want to talk about is that it's your website needs to have appropriate information to encourage the conversion. So this is frequently referred to as copywriting. And I'm going to say in call to action. Okay, because there's more elements that go into this, and we'll talk about those. But for the most part, it's going to be copywriting and call to action, which means that if you are putting content on your site, how is that written? Is it written so people can A, understand it, and B, is it written so that they take the next step? Okay, so again, this is a basic overview, but these are the three kind of biggest problems that I've seen a lot of people face. And that if we can address those challenges, you can definitely increase your conversions online, because if you address any one of these, and I say that each one of them, you could have different elements, and we'll talk more about those as we give examples. So now let me go ahead and see if I can erase this, and do it again. No, maybe not. Just select it. We will delete it. Start fresh. All right, so let's try again. Let's do a different color, make it less boring. And I'm sorry I didn't do PowerPoint like normal. I just did not have time. All right, so now at this point in the process, you could have something go wrong, right? So you've got your basic process set up. So let's break down each of these points to look at it a little bit more. So the first one is that people visit your site and don't convert, right? So people not converting. So people not converting solution. Well, let's say 3 to 5%. We'll go back. So the number one was 3 to 5% conversions. Okay, so one thing is that your conversions, you don't know unless you've had a lot of data pulled in. You can look and go, okay, I've had 50,000 people visit my site, not one is converted. Then this is not your problem. Your problem is probably number 3. So that's one of the dilemmas with online conversions, is that you kind of have to get a lot of data before it points to what might be wrong. But before you jump to conclusions, if you've only had like 1,000 people visit your site, but you still had 1 or 2 people convert, you may be facing this 3 to 5% conversion rate. And so if you understand this and know that you only are going to be reaching 3 to 5% of your audience initially, it's a lot easier to say, hey, I don't have a problem. I just need to increase my traffic, right? Now, the biggest thing to address for when you're doing this, assuming that number 3 is not a problem, number 3 would be, if you don't have appropriate content on your site or a call to action, which we'll talk about in a minute. But for this one, the easiest solution, right? Solution is, because it doesn't want me tab in here, and it doesn't like me doing that, is to not use Paint, because you mess everything up. And I lost the keyboard. Why is this not working? Fine. I'll just go off it. Solution. Retargeting, remarketing, whichever one you want to call it. There's both of these. And this one, it's so funny because I talk to people all the time and they're like, I don't know what retargeting, remarketing is. We'll cover those in just a second. So retargeting, remarketing, and the concept of it is basically when somebody comes to your site and they leave, you're going to retarget them with ads. So that's the quick version of it. And I'll go into just a little bit more detail in just a moment. So for number 2, so the problem was not getting found in search. And you've got basically two things that you can provide the solution to these two. You can either, there's actually kind of like 3 ways, but you can do search engine optimization or SEO. You can do paid ads up front, or you can do what I call creative marketing, right? So creative marketing would be where you spend a lot of your time addressing elements like, oh, hey, I'm going to go hop into forums, right? I'm going to hop into forums. I'm going to find people and I'm going to, reach out to them and say, hey, I saw your comments in the forum. I can help you. Or maybe you reply to people and say, hey, just reach out to me if you want any help. That's a lot of the creative marketing. It's very hands-on and it's very time consuming and there may be very little reward on it. So, but that is one way that you can avoid this not getting found in search. But getting found in search really requires you to do SEO or paid ads, because those are the 2 ways that you actually show up in search. So now, number 3 is the copy. We said it was copy, and what did I decide that name was? It was, call to action. Right. So the third one is your website's not really set up for conversion. So your copy's not right. Your call to action's not listed there. There may be no way for someone to take action, or your content does not encourage visitors to take action. This is really easy to rectify. I mean, I say that loosely because it's not easy for everyone, because you have to solve the problem, right? So the solution in this case, I guess I don't have enough space for it. So anyway, the solution number 3 is that you correct the copy and then any on-site issues. Any issues so it fits. So that's what your solution is to number 3. And we'll explain both of these in a little bit more detail now. All right, so let's look at the basics of retargeting and remarketing, because that's the number one problem that people see, that they have a problem with that. And they're like, oh, hey, now what? So I have 3 to 5% of people that are going to buy. What about the other 95+%? How do I get the other 95% of people that are interested in my products or services or information or whatever? So the number one thing you should keep in mind on that is that 100% of people are never going to buy something. It's just the way it is. So you can expect 50% won't ever buy. So if you're like, oh, hey, I have, I have a 10% conversion rate and I'm trying to get up to 100%. That's ridiculous. So a 10% conversion rate would be awesome, by the way. So if you're like, oh, hey, I'm at 6%, that's pretty decent too. And of course, again, it depends on the industry. If you're like, have no competition, then you may have a much higher conversion rate. I can tell you that 50% in e-commerce, for example, I sell on Amazon and I have one of my products during Christmas. So it's the right product at the right time and the right audience on Amazon. And I can have 50% conversion rates on Amazon. It's like unheard of. So if you align those, it really works well. Your online conversions really increase. So just keep in mind that 50% will never buy from you. And now that I did that, I need to delete it. So let's go back to our little person here, which I need to redraw. So we've got our person, right? Okay, that's where I want you. And again, my person has weird legs, and it was better when my daughter was here to give me input. So let's look at the basics of retargeting remarketing. We're going to be addressing problem number 1. And this is specifically for how do you increase that if you are at a 1% conversion or a 1.5% conversion. How do you increase your conversion, or how do you get those people back to you, right? So this is where we talk about retargeting remarketing. And so I'm going to show you from a consumer perspective, and then we're going to talk about it from a business perspective. So from a consumer perspective, here's my little consumer right here. And they are going to, now that I figured out that there's an arrow, they are going to visit a page on your site. Okay, so let's say it doesn't really matter what the site is. If you have an affiliate product or you have an e-commerce product or you have a local, company service page or something, it doesn't really matter what this is, because the whole point is that this person is visiting that page on your site, right? And then they turn around and let's change up the color a little bit. Then they leave. They don't take action and they leave. They're like, bye-bye, I'm done. I did not take whatever action this was, right? So if you said, hey, I want you to buy something, they didn't buy it. If they say, oh, hey, if you're like, oh, hey, I want you to sign up for something, they didn't opt in. Then you go, wait a second. That person came here. They're obviously interested in whatever it is that I have on this page. So how do I get in front of them again? Because you've lost your chance, theoretically. But now you really haven't if you're using retargeting and remarketing. And this is where, so the consumer goes to the page and then they go off and they go to, let's say they go to Facebook, right? They're going to go to Facebook. We'll just do FB. They go to Instagram. They go to YouTube. They go to other websites, right? Other websites. Now, you don't necessarily get to select, oh, you're like, oh, hey, if they go to Forbes, I want to show up. Now, maybe it just depends, because it depends on the ad platform. But what you do is you now create an ad that's related to this page. So let's say they come here, and because e-commerce is the easiest to do, I'm going to say that one. I'm still on my, I did that wrong, didn't I? I'll type that again, just real quick. FB, Insta, YouTube, Pinterest. It doesn't really matter what the site is. There's remarketing on just about everything. So we'll just do those again. Yellow is not the greatest color for this. So you create an ad, and your ad is exactly what this person, what they're looking for, right? So you're now going to show them the same information that was here. So they are going to go, and Amazon is actually incredible about this. This is the first time I ever saw it, was with Amazon back in 2012 or 13 maybe. And that's one of the reasons why I started selling on Amazon, was because I was amazed by what they were doing. And in fact, I think it was 2013, because it was one of my own products. And I was like, wait, why am I seeing my own product in this ad on this page? And it's because Amazon does retargeting. So you as a buyer go to an Amazon page, and let's just say you go to my Celtic ornaments. Well, you know what? I'm not ready to buy, or I don't know. I get distracted, whatever it is. Somebody pings me on Facebook, right? So I head over here, and I don't think pinging is really... Wish is good too. Yeah, they are. Dominic, hey, it's good to see it. Okay, so Wish is also one that's very good at retargeting. That's a very good point. And there is a delay, by the way. So what they do though, so you see this product, and then all of a sudden you're on these other sites, and you're like, oh, wait, I just saw this product. Now this is excellent, because a lot of people get distracted. They get very distracted. I get distracted all the time. Their kid, it's dinner time, the oven buzzes, they put their phone down, they close it, they forget about it. So then they're going on and they're getting on Facebook, and they're like, and they're scrolling through their feed, and they see the picture of it. Now, Facebook's not the best for retargeting for e-commerce, but it's a good example. So they go, okay, well, oh, look, this product is, oh yeah, that's right, I wanted to buy that. Then they click on the ad, and now they come back to your page. Or they can even go to another page with a special offer or something like that. So retargeting and remarketing is exceptionally powerful. In fact, it is probably the most powerful for ad spend that you can ever do. So if you're spending money on ads and you are not doing retargeting and remarketing, you're wasting money. So that's the way. And that's why the easiest solution to problem number one of only 3 to 5% converting is to do retargeting, because I can almost guarantee that 3 to 5% is going to get even lower and lower in our less attentive society. So getting used to retargeting, remarketing as a business, as, hey, I'm going to go do retargeting ads, that's something that we've all got to learn to do very well. So that is retargeting, remarketing from the consumer perspective. Now let's discuss it from the business perspective. So, and it's kind of the same thing. I just want to make sure you understand that from a business perspective, what you're going to do. So we're going to just use some basic squares here. So you have a product, right? So you have your product. I do not like that color. Let's do purple. So you have your product. It's your very awesome product, your awesome service. Yeah. And Dominic says 3 to 5 impressions make a sale. Yeah. And sometimes it might be a little more if you have a higher priced product or service, but typically, because the old school marketing was the rule of 7. That 7, when a customer engages with your brand 7 times, they're more likely to make a decision, at least one way or the other. And that's the old school rule. But again, that was pre-online. And depending on how you do it, you could get it down to 3 to 5, especially for e-commerce. I'd say definitely with the e-commerce, 3 to 5 would be lower. But if you're doing something like financial planning, it might be higher. It might have to be closer to 10 or 12. Or if you're offering your lead generation skills as an example, you're like, oh, hey, I can help you with lead generation. You may need to show them examples and lots. I mean, not directly, and even directly. You have to send them 12 emails before they reply. So it varies, but that's why the old school was rule of 7. But again, if you aren't doing it, you're gonna have that low conversion rate. So you've got to do something, and aiming for 3 to 5 will at least increase that significantly. All right. So we've got our awesome product here, right? So, or page or whatever it is. This is going to be way too big if I do that. So let's go escape. Let's put just a star in there. These are funky stars here. That one's okay. So this is our awesome page. Now we're going to go ahead and have so we're going to say, here's our page. Now we're going to drive traffic to it. So you see how I'm doing this backwards a little bit, and that's because a consumer starts here and they're looking for something. We're starting here and trying to get consumers over to us. So we're like, okay, I want to get this person or these people, my ideal audience, to my page, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to drive the traffic to my site. Now they can do 2 different things. And this is where I want to expand a little bit on retargeting remarketing, because there's an extra way you can do this. And that would be, why did you just do that? Where if they don't take an action, you're going to run your ad, right? You're going to run your ad and you're going to get them. But you could also have them take an action where they're doing, we'll do this one. We're going to call it email marketing. So we have them sign up for a list and we say, okay, so they're not ready to buy, but so at the bottom of the page, we have what we call our secondary call to action. So our primary call to action in e-commerce, as an example, would be buy button. But a secondary one might be a pop-up or something at the bottom that says, hey, make sure you sign up to our email list, right? And this is, of course, pretty lame example right now, but it'll work. So now you've got your email list. Now what happens is you can now basically remarket to them through email and say, hey, you didn't purchase this, or you did purchase this, and you can offer other things. So that's where you can start driving traffic back to your site again from the same people. So again, if they don't take action, you still want to make sure you're running your ads. But if they do take an action, they either going to buy something or they're going to sign up to an email list, as an example. And now you can email them and bring them back as well. So that's another way that you can increase that 3 to 5% relatively easily. I mean, it takes very minimal effort to add that in. Now, I say that, but email marketing does have its own skill set and a lot of different things that are involved in it. So again, I can't go through all the challenges here because it would take hours and hours and hours, but I want to give some ideas, right? So you can, of course, run your email list and run remarketing campaigns where the other products and services, product discounts, coupons, special offers. You can invite people to share your info with their friends and family and everybody else. And then you can also engage with people who just want your information. So that's the core of solving problem number 1. All right, let's see if I can get this cleared out now. One of these days I'll find a solution to this. All right, so then we're going to talk about the core elements of resolving problem number 2, and that's when people can't find you in search. Now, again, the 2 main elements that we're going to talk about is search engine optimization and running ads. And the main parts of those, this is going to crack you up, right? So we're going to let's do search engine optimization on this side. And then let's do ads on this side. Right. And it doesn't matter. I'm going to mostly reference Google ads on this because that's one I have more experience with, but it doesn't even, sorry, Dominic, I know there's a delay on this. So he says, a lot of email messages don't get opened or even make it to the inbox. That is extremely true. But there are some things that you can do to avoid that. And I say that loosely because I have taken email marketing training, started from scratch, and got my 15 people or whatever into my email list. And then as soon as I start emailing, they all go to spam, like instantly. Like there's almost no way to warm it up. And that gets extremely discouraging. However, there's a couple of things which we're not going to go into detail here, but I'm just going to say that something you can do, which is, from what I understand, fairly profitable if you do it right. And this goes back to copywriting, is if you can get a good headline and you pay for ads. So this is that retargeting remarketing. You can actually do email ads straight into like Gmail inbox. And from what I understand, I haven't done it yet, but I know how to do it. I just haven't done it yet. And from what I understand, it's extremely effective. And so, I can't go into a lot of details about it because I haven't done it yet. I'll have to practice with it and everything. But it's going to be very powerful for those who know how to do the right copywriting. So right headline into it and the right content within the email. But I know I have Gmail. I never click on the ads. I have Yahoo. I never click on the ads. So I don't know who does click on ads, but I don't. So I can't tell you what would convert on that. But that is one way to get into somebody's email inbox. And at least, if you have a good email system, but it costs money. So unfortunately, so let's talk about SEO versus ads. And we're not going to talk about Gmail ads specifically or email ads, but we'll talk about just in general. So for SEO, we've got, our basics of search engine optimization. So let's go with, we need a different color for this. So we'll go A is identify keywords. Well, I can't put all that in there. So we're going to say keywords, right? So now this should crack you up. Guess what A is over here? Identify your keywords. Why? Because no matter what you're doing, with the exception of, I should preface this with, we're not going to be talking about social media marketing when it comes to this, because social media marketing, for those who haven't done Facebook marketing, it's a completely different realm. You have to do interest-based rather than keywords. So we're going to go with keywords because we're talking about search in this example. You can't get found in search, and nobody's really searching on Facebook for Celtic ornaments. Not yet, at least. Maybe in the future. Now, so the element number 2, or I'm going to put B in here, for this one is going to be on-site optimization. Guess what it is over here? On-site optimization. Now, I don't have room for all this, so I'm just going to talk about them. Both of these are going to be site speed. Your site needs to be fast enough to load. If somebody's, well, first of all, you're not going to show up in search. Google has flat out said, we're not going to show you in search if your site's not fast enough. Yes and no, that's true. But for the most part, yeah, I have seen a decrease in the number of slow sites that are in searches. You can still bypass it, but you have to overcome a lot of other hurdles to do that. So generally, your site needs to load. But more importantly, your site needs to load, because if it doesn't load fast enough, people are going to click off of it. Now, ads, same thing. If you're paying for ads and your site speed is slow, you're wasting money. You're literally wasting money, because the second you start paying for ads and people click on it and it's too slow, they click off. You've paid for the click, but you didn't even get to show them the content, right? You got like 3 seconds to capture somebody's attention. And if it takes 5 seconds for your page to load, it's done. So if you do not have a fast loading website and you're paying for ads, you are wasting money. Let's see. And going back to this one on keywords. If you are running specifically Google ads, and I'm sure the other ones do this as well, they tell you when you're running their ads that they will match your content. Even if you tell them the keywords you want, they're going to match your content with what they feel your site relates to. So if you say, hey, I'm going to show this site about dog food to people who are searching for cat food, you're probably not going to get shown because you don't have cat food listed anywhere on the page. I don't know why you'd pay for that anyway, but that's just an example. I hear a lot of people go, oh, I hate running ads because they never show my ads. And I'm like, well, have you looked at your page lately? You have like no relevant keywords. You just talk about something completely random or have a couple pictures on there. Google can't read the pictures. So it doesn't know that, oh, your pictures are explaining this whole story of how this process works and you want to be shown for that. You've got to have content on your page. And you have to have those keywords matching what you're trying to show. A lot of people don't know this, right? They don't know that when they run ads that they need to have on-site optimization. And they go, oh, I'm not doing SEO. I don't need to have this. Yes, you do. Because otherwise you're going to be paying through the nose. You're going to just be paying money and money and money to Google because they're trying to match it up and they don't have the right words, or they're showing them to the words that are on your page and it's not matching what you want to get in front of or what would convert. So it's important that you know these in advance, the keywords that are going to be most likely to convert, and make sure they're on your page. Those are two elements regardless of which side you go on. So, and this is where we kind of diverge on this. So C, I'm going to put social media. All of the search engines have flat out said, oh, we don't use social media as an indicator for your search rankings. It's kind of a gray area. I just threw something away. I didn't mean to, but it's kind of a gray area because social media drives traffic, and that'll be our last element on this side is going to be traffic, but social media drives traffic, and it's also an indicator of interest. So while they say, oh, no, it doesn't matter, it kind of does matter. And everybody who's tested this in the SEO world has said, yep, you need to have your social media links. You need to have your backlinks. You need to do all of these things. So if you don't have social media at all, like I know some business owners are like I'm not getting a Facebook page. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do any social media. Well, if you don't, your competition does, they have a better chance of outranking you. It's just the way the world works. Now on the ad side, we're basically down to, I'm going to say some offsite, and that would include social media, because ads, you're paying for it, right? So now you don't have to have as many indicators because you're actually just paying for it. But you can fine tune your connections. So we talked about this keywords here. You can fine tune this by further clarifying what your site is about using offsite optimization. And that may, there's no guarantee on this, but that may end up lowering the cost of your ads. So backlinks and social media presence and branding are big ways to make sure that people who are running these searches, it's clarified, right? Because let's say your keywords you have 5 different keywords and maybe 4 of them are better conversions for you. And your offsite optimization helps clarify it. So you get shown for those four keywords more often and you convert better. So, I mean, there's a way to do it, but I'm going to say that's kind of general. So basically you need your keywords and your offsite optimization. And again, your offsite may do some minimal effects to it, but again, that's still kind of vague, but making sure your onsite is there is good. All right, so on the SEO side, we've got more elements like backlinks, which is critical. And we've also got branding. Oh, I forgot to put the E there, didn't I? And this would be like, for example, lead generation sources, our brand, right? And or Little Biz Resources if you're on the blog site. So we make sure that we have a brand that's unique. I know a lot of people wanted to do especially when they do SEO, they want to do exact match domains, and that's great. It's just that you still need to brand somewhere on your site. So that could be like through your name. So like for me, Dr. Kim Christian, if somebody goes searching for Dr. Kim Christian, they should find me. And if they don't, I need to do some more branding. I haven't searched lately, but it used to be just me coming up and I come up for like the first 4 spots. But if you just type in Kim Christian, it's not going to, because there's like a gajillion of us. That's a lot harder. So we got branding. And the last one on the SEO side, and this is actually one of the biggest indicators, by the way, is traffic. And by traffic, I mean people already going to your site. So isn't that kind of ironic, right? So because search engines like Google now want you to prove that you are worthy of page 1, and they do this by you showing that people already like your site, right? And that's where social elements come into play, because if people are talking about you on Facebook, Google knows that. If people are talking about you on YouTube, they know that, especially since it's their property. You know, if there are backlinks, if all of this is in place, then you're going to rank ahead of somebody who doesn't have it in place. But I can tell you that if you do all of these and you have no traffic, you're not going to rank on page 1. It's the weirdest thing. I'm like, wait, the whole point of ranking on page one is to get traffic. But until you get traffic, you can't rank on page one. And this is where a lot of people miss that element of SEO. In fact, if one of these is broken, it's probably fine, except for traffic. Traffic's the only one. If you have zero traffic, then you're not going to rank. You can have everything else in place, but you're not going to rank. And there's lots of ways to manipulate traffic or have traffic driven. A lot of them is ads, or to, get into groups and say, hey, will you click on my page and stay on it for a couple of minutes, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of different ways to manipulate that traffic long enough to get onto page one. And as long as you have a converting page, and you can stay there. So those are the two main ways if you have the problem with, hey, people are searching for me and they can't find me. So that is the core of number 2. So now let's look at the core problem of number 3. Chicken and egg, right? Yeah, which one came first? Well, and the funny thing is that I always find it interesting that Google's, their current one. So this wasn't, back in the day, this wasn't like that. Back in 2017, you could still rank on page one and have no traffic because that wasn't an element. So somewhere in 2017 to the beginning part of 2018, this shifted significantly, and it really put a favor towards brands. I have an example that I rant about all the time about how when I owned my security company, we had, I ranked in the local map pack instantly. As soon as I claimed my Google My Business, and I think I put up a couple social media properties, and I was there, and there was no moving me, right? I mean, the site was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't optimized. I forgot about it for a while, and we didn't have anybody answering phone calls, so I didn't care. But I was there. And so then one day I'm just decided to dabble with it. And I looked and I'm like, wait a second, what is AT&T doing in here? And AT&T they had started in security back in 2013, but they never showed up. And the next thing I know is all of a sudden they started showing up. And it's because, and I narrowed it down to, it was because they were getting traffic specifically looking for security systems in them. So people would type in something like home security AT&T. And because of that, because there were so many searches for it, they were shown anyway, but they didn't meet any other element. Their site sucked. It was horrible. They had no information about security on the site. They hadn't claimed their Google My Business listing, so they shouldn't have been showing up in the first place. Again, their site was horribly slow. I mean, it was everything that you're supposed to do, they did not do, and yet they still ranked. And the only reason why I could figure that was traffic. So that was the number one indicator of a site that should rank was traffic. And that was back in the end of 2017 to the beginning of 2018 is when that shift occurred. And as far as I can tell, it's still like that. I haven't seen it shift backwards since then. So brands are getting a very big advantage just because they're a big brand. So, all right. So number 3. So number 3 was, what did I say? Copywriting. And I changed this so my notes are different. And not $. I can't remember what I said. And call to action. So CTA, which is call to action, right? So this is the problem, is that people are going to your site and they're, bouncing off of it, or they're not taking the next step, right? So let me see here. I've got a lot of notes on this one. I'm going to try to narrow it down a little bit. So in copywriting, there are a couple of elements that you need to consider. So when you're talking about specifically copywriting, and again, this goes, the common vernacular, whatever, is copy. So the copy on the page, right? If you go back to old school press, that's what they say. Oh, you got that copy ready for me? At least in movies. I don't know if it's in real life or not. So the words on the page need to encourage people to take the next step. So I see this a lot. And by words on the page, I'm going to go specifically to call to action, because with local businesses, I see this problem a lot. But you can consider the headline. It needs to match, right? So if you're running an ad and you're going, hey, check out my dog food, you don't want them to land on cat food, or vice versa, right? So your headline needs to match, and it needs to be good. So this is an element that brings people in as well. And as long as it all aligns, you're fine. So we're going to think about your headline, your subheadline, if you have one. That's not necessary in all industries. And then things like how many sentences in a paragraph, right? So number of sentences in a paragraph. This could be, you should keep it minimally to 1 to 3. So if you think back to high school and you're like, you need to have, in fact, when I taught college, I constantly had to write people down. I had to have poor writing because they would have like one sentence in a paragraph. Now, granted, in my defense, their sentence was usually supposed to be 4, and they just never put any periods in there or anything else. So it was like one rambling long sentence. It's kind of like one of these, right? But if you are writing on a page, you don't want what they call a wall of text. So if somebody shows up on your page and you just have this wall of text, unless they have a PhD and that's what they're used to reading, which I have a PhD and I'm not used to reading that, I still wouldn't like it. So you're gonna have a very narrow number of people that would like the wall of text. They're gonna click off of it. They're gonna not be interested. It's gonna be too overwhelming for them. So something like the number of sentences in a paragraph, keeping it 1 to 3 sentences within a paragraph. So yes, when you're writing online, you can have 1 sentence, and it should be short. It shouldn't be like a long rambling sentence. It should just be a sentence. And you want to keep your sentences shorter, and you're writing to be like, I think average of 6th grade level or something, because people, which that's really hard for me, by the way. When I write blog posts and I use Yoast SEO, it constantly tells me you need to make your writing easier. And I'm like, really? When all in school, they made me write it harder. How do I undo that? So that's one of my biggest challenges. But the number of sentences in a paragraph can make a big difference. You want to have that white space in there. You can have font could be a factor, right? You want a readable font. I always laugh when I get on these blog posts and I'm like, I can't read what they're writing because it's like in some sort of cursive font. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know why you picked a cursive font because this is online. So it doesn't have to be like, friendly or anything, but it's usually a female who decides that they want to make it pretty and they use some sort of, calligraphy or cursive font. And I'm like, I can't read it. And it actually hurts my brain to read it for too long or try to read it. So I give up. And if you do that and people are like, hey, I can't, it's too hard for them, then they're going to click off. So these are elements that, again, keeping in mind that 3 to 5, you already have the challenge that only 3 to 5% of people are going to be ready to take action. Now you could actually make that even lower if you're not doing the right copywriting elements. So you got font, and then of course you want a variation. So I try to do this in all my posts where I change up the color, at least put the heading as a different color. And then where things are important, I may bold it or underline it. Now, not all my posts end up this way. But if I spent more time and did all of this, then my post would probably do a lot better. So those are kind of like elements that can help you convert people better just simply by not making them want to click off the page. Now, the biggest problem that I see especially with local companies, right? Local marketing, it's like they miss this every time, is the call to action. Well, I'm going to spell it out. What do you want them to do on the page, right? Give them instructions. They get on your page, and this happens not just in local marketing, but this is one I see a lot in that one. They get to your page, you got the phone number up there, right? But let's say, okay, now you're on what are you going to are they going to call you? I don't know, maybe. There's a phone number there. They can call me if they want. No, you need to say, call us today, and make it very easy for them to do it right there, right? You want them to sign up for your list. You have a little teeny tiny box that back up at the top and they're at the bottom of the page. You need to say, sign up for our email list or my email list, however you want to write it, right? There are, oh, look, Malwarebytes says my computer is good. So you want to make sure that you are telling people what the next steps are. And if you are one that's writing a blog post to drive them to another blog post or to drive them to affiliate, click here. And in some cases, right? In some cases, you may need to have a button instead of a link. You may need to, and again, may have to take some testing, but you need to constantly be telling them what the next steps are. And if you don't do that, then they're not going to take the next steps. It's just the way it is. So let me go ahead and clear out this one. So that's the copywriting and the call to action part. So I just want to go over just a couple more elements to consider is that images need to convert. And this is especially important in e-commerce, right? If you're in e-commerce and you're like, oh, hey, I have an image of a product, but and a good example of this is actually my products. So I have wooden ornaments. Now the wooden ornaments are great. And I say that they're ornaments, but if people don't see them on a tree, they don't understand, right? They're like, I don't get it. Not everybody. A lot of people do, but some people don't. So on a site like Amazon that requires a white background, that's almost the exact opposite of what I want. I want them to be able to say, hey, I know what this is. I want to buy it. So you put it on a tree, you take a picture that way. So a lot of times in e-commerce, you want to show the product in action because it helps people understand better what the size of it is, how it's useful, etc. So images need to convert. Then you've got video, and the video is the same thing, right? So video needs to also convert. It needs to be related, and it needs to help push whatever the element is on the page, either provide the information or push them to the next action. So then the question becomes how do you figure out what works, right? How to figure out what works. I hate to say this, but testing, right? So testing, you can either do already proven elements. So like, for example, you could use we've been talking about the Kibo code recently. So they already have elements, they already have images, they already have the text and everything. They already have all of that is already there. So you can use that, or you need to test, right? So for the rest of us that don't have that, well, I have that, but for my ornaments as an example, I would do something like A/B testing. And that is where I would drive, if I'm driving traffic to my site, I would drive half of them to one page and half of them to another that has minor variations. And there's lots of tools out there to do that, but that's basically that level is you have to test, is this one better or is this one better? And then you keep testing over and over again until you fine tune that and optimize it. That's like pretty much the only way to do it. And again, additional factors on the whole somebody's visited my site and they're not taking action would include what we've already talked about as far as like website load speed, mobile friendly, if there are links that work, if the opt-ins work, if the people answer the phone, etc. So as long as those things are all in place, then you should be able to do some sort of, be able to increase your conversions by adapting a few elements. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's just do some quick examples because I'm already running at 47 minutes. So let's do some quick examples of each of these. So we're going to talk about local business real quick. So we're going to do local, right? You've got two. I don't like that color. Let's go back to a different color. Let's go back to purple. That one's nice. That's my daughter's color. I like green too, but I like a darker green, and it's not a quick option. So local, you've got two searches, right? You've got what they call a local search, and then it's basically all the other searches. So with local searches, what you're doing is you're showing up in maps. And maps is what they call, if you show up in the maps results, there's usually three organic results. They're now starting to add ads onto that above it. But if you show up in maps and you have in that top three, it's what they call the money pack. And if you show up in those results, you're going to get a lot of traffic. I mean, obviously it depends on your age. If there's only 10 people searching, may not get a lot of traffic, but generally you're going to get more traffic than if you don't. In fact, for the most part, if you don't show up in that map pack, your likelihood of getting found is slim to none. It's just the way it is. There's just not a whole lot of people going past those first three searches. So that's where we want to be. All the other searches, which can be content searches or branded searches. Now, branded searches, you obviously want to show up for your own brand, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to show up in the maps. So it's not necessarily a local search. For local businesses, the local search is where you want to be. So let's do an example here. In fact, let me go ahead and take this part off right here. And then come down here. So as an example, let's go ahead and change it to a dark red. How about? Let's say that that somebody comes and they search for pediatric dentist. Pardon if my spelling is wrong. Now they're going to do the search and they're going to look and see if they can find you, right? They're not looking for you. They're just looking for any of them. And they're going to get shown the map pack. I can tell you this much. And this is another one. And this goes back to that keyword, right? People can't find you if you don't have the word. I see a lot of dentists, as an example, that say family dentist, right? Family dentist. That is not the same as pediatric dentist or even kids dentist. Right? If somebody's coming in and they're searching kids dentist or dentist for kids or pediatric dentist and it's not listed on your site, So if it's not listed on your site, you will not, the likelihood of getting shown in the Google Map Pack or any search results is slim to none. Now, if there's no other competition, they may show you for dentists. And if you have a lot of backlinks indicating or people searching for you, then there's ways to overcome that. But the easiest way to show up in searches for a specific keyword is to have that keyword on your page. So again, I see this a lot, especially with dentists, with doctors, where doctors' offices, they'll list like random stuff, like general. They'll be like, okay, well, I can't think of anything specific, but let's say, let's go with them. Maybe if somebody's looking for a broken bone doctor or something, right? They may not know the name of the doctor, since I don't even off the top of my head, but they may say doctor for broken bones. Now, Google will probably automatically pull that and say, here you go, here's some ones for that. But if you have something on your page, because I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but when somebody does a local search, it'll say, Google will pull it up and say, this website mentions, and have the actual term that you just used. So an example, let's say if I did Celtic ornaments as an example, even e-commerce. So e-commerce is coming up in local searches now. They might show Walmart, which is super annoying, by the way, because they usually never have it. But they'll say, oh, this website mentions, and they'll use the keyword. So the keyword is on the site, you can show up better. Now, I'm going to say, if you want to show up in the map results, you still need to do search engine optimization, and we'll have to talk more about that another time. But I just want to make sure that this element is one of the most important things that you can do, is just make sure the word is on your page. So that's how, so this is local. So that would be how you address search number 2. We've already talked about the problem number 1 with retargeting remarketing. We're going to kind of skip that for the examples. So that's just because that's a simple solution, retargeting remarketing, right? And you can do geographic stuff, and we'll talk retargeting remarketing specifically a little bit later, another time, not today, but another time. So this is, again, for local results. So this solves your problem for showing up in search results. Now for problem number 3, let's say that they're going to search pediatric dentist and they find your site, but they don't take action. And again, remembering that problem number 1 is 3 to 5% of people take action also plays a role. Now, if you're an emergency dentist or you offer emergency services as a dentist, that number could vary. So the first thing to consider is, if they're not taking action, is, let me get the right one. First one, what actions can they take? Right? So do you even have a call to action on your page? Like I said, this is the most common thing I see, is where there's no instructions on the page. So you need to tell them, hey, call us today for an appointment, or schedule an appointment today, right? And then if you're not tracking everything correctly, like you may not have Google Analytics set up. You may not have any type of tracking on your site. So you may only know that, hey, we know that people are going to our site, but we don't know why people aren't calling us, as an example. Well, maybe they are calling you, but is somebody answering the phone? You know, because sometimes if they go to an automation, they may hang up. Now, automation may be all you have, and that's fine. But the important element is that somebody answering the phone, and then if somebody's leaving a message, is somebody returning calls. I had that happen where I had a doctor and I had to leave a message, and then I had to wait a week for a response. I eventually found a new doctor because I got tired of it. And I'm like, look, if I have to leave a message 3 weeks in advance just to get a call back to tell me to call back in another week and make an appointment, I don't know how the doctor stayed in business. So, and then again, I'm going to put listed services. So now you make sure that you have somebody answering the phone, somebody returning calls. Second thing is, they've come to your site. Did you list all the services? And following the same example, let's say that somebody looked for a pediatric dentist because they're specifically looking for tooth whitening for kids. So they click on your listing and they don't see anything about tooth whitening for kids. Yeah, they know you work with kids, but do you offer tooth whitening? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But if it's not listed on your site, they may assume that you don't, and they may leave your site. And then of course we can go into number 3, as in the copy on your page, right? Is it enough information? Does it point them in the right direction? Is it offensive? I mean, sometimes you get stuff on there that's like poor grammar, poor spelling, and people go, I don't think so. I'm not going to go to this dentist because they can't even spell dentist. So those are elements that you can consider and get almost immediate fixes there. All right. So now let's go with let's go with e-commerce, because that's the one that a lot of our group is in. So e-commerce. Now, e-commerce is a little more involved than a local business because there's a lot more to it, right? So we've got let's get our little person back up here. Maybe if I can make them orange. So we'll get our person back up here. And we're going to say, hey, person. This person, I guess, is walking, maybe. Anyway, so we got a little person, and they are going to, of course, we're going to drive the traffic to our product page. Right? So we got our product page back up. And then they're going to take an action. And ideally, they're going to be buying. So we'll just make it a star for now. So they're going to buy. And then from there, we may also then offer them upsells. Do I have a funnel thing up here? We'll just do this guy. So we're going to offer them upsells, cross sells, or whatever. And then we're also going to be doing email marketing. We'll just do this one for email marketing, right? So we've got, it's going to take too much text here and I don't want to mess with it. So we're driving our traffic to our page. People are taking action and they're buying. We're offering the cross sells and upsells. And then we're also doing email marketing. So this is e-commerce has a lot more steps to it. Now you can do a lot of this with local and with affiliate, but with e-commerce specifically, because of this line, you've got a lot of variables in play here. And I'm going to actually see if I can make this slightly smaller. Okay, so let's look at problem number 2. So people can't find you in search, right? Because remember, problem number 1, we're going to be retargeting and remarketing, which is going to be back over here or over here. So if they don't take action, we'll be retargeting and remarketing. And that solves problem number 1. Now, problem number 2, when people can't find you in search, I'm going to be completely honest here. I've done a lot of testing and it is exceptionally difficult now. I mean, a year ago, I could rank on page 1. Now it's almost impossible to get your page on page 1 for most e-commerce words. And even if you do get it there, if Amazon's listed, it's going to be a nightmare to get above them. So for the most part, SEO is kind of out of the realm. It can be done, but it's very involved. And I've got a little bit more testing to do to see if I can overcome that with, I have two things that I can do on sites that almost always make it rank. And I just haven't done it on an e-commerce site yet. So I'm going to try those out hopefully soon, and then we'll know more. But then the other thing that you can do is, of course, run ads. So of course, you're looking at keywords, ideally buyer keywords, and then long tail keywords, which we haven't really talked much about, but that's basically keywords that are, so instead of saying shoes, where you go rainbow platform Gucci shoes. It's always my favorite. Those are like $1,000 shoes. Or at least they were when we did it a couple of years ago when we did that search. So you want to, I obviously identify the keywords that are most likely to match for conversions. Now, the other elements you have in e-commerce though are this. So you start off with, of course, the person searching for something, but now your product needs to be something that converts and matches what they're looking for, right? So if you have a person that's looking for a product and then so that's a product that's in demand and it matches what their search is. So people may click on your page anyway because it looks interesting, but if it didn't really match what they were looking for, then they're going to move on. And this is where it's a lot harder because you could easily, like for example, Celtic ornaments. I do really well on Amazon, but when I go out to do Google ads, it doesn't convert very well. And I don't know why yet, but it doesn't convert very well. I'm guessing it's because of the images, which of course I'll need to test this year. But if you go and you say, okay, well, so now you need to have the right images that are going to convert. They're going to get people to buy. You have to have the copy that's going to get people to buy. And then of course your page needs to be optimized for both, SEO value or for just site speed and everything else. And then also for conversion. So you're running into a lot of challenges if you are like, hey, I have a product and I want to sell it. Well, is it a selling product? Don't know. Right? Like for me, in EP Laser, I have a huge challenge. I have products that are converting on Amazon, but they're not converting outside of Amazon. And so for me, the challenge is why is the product not converting? Is it because of the images? Is it because of the product? Is it because of the keywords? Because I'm doing keywords on Amazon. So I know people are typing that into Amazon and it's matching, but I don't understand why they're not converting on Google. So you have a lot more variables that come into play with e-commerce than you do with like local, because if somebody's looking for plumbing, you're either offered or you don't, right? That's just the way it goes. And so and then if you have, you have other things like product reviews company reviews and everything else in local, whereas in e-commerce, before you even get to the reviews, you have the challenge of picking a product that converts, having the copy on the page so it matches, is good for ads and is good for people reading it. You want to have your features on there that are correct. So you're saying, hey, what are the benefits? Not necessarily the dimensions of it, but hey, this is great for, it's a great sleep aid or whatever. So this is where, of course, like I said, e-commerce has a lot more variables. So, and again, we've mentioned this before, Google Ads pulls data from your website to help deliver your ads. So if that's not correct, your ads are going to get shown to the wrong people. And the challenge is to overcome in e-commerce. You've got your product selection, right? So you need product selection. So you need it to convert. It needs to match. It needs to be profitable. And then, of course, it needs to be in demand. Otherwise, if you sell 4, who cares? Unless it's like $50,000 product, then I guess it would matter. But those are kind of the elements. And then you've got your copywriting, right? You need to make sure your copy converts and everything we just said. And then it also needs to tell what Google is. So you need to make sure your copy is there. So converts and matches, right? So then we have the images. Now, images are some of the most important elements. And when making my own product, I have to make my own images. And that makes it so it's very challenging because I don't know. I have to do a lot of that split testing, like I mentioned. So I have to now split test and go, okay, is this picture better? Is this picture better? And it's difficult to, have the budget to be able to do that. So you need images. So images that help people push that buy button. Then you also need to have a funnel. If you want profit, you need to have products to offer as a cross-sell and upsell and of course, people use these terms incorrectly, so we'll just use them both there. So cross-sell and upsell, right? So these are elements that all need to be in place. So like I have ornaments but who's going to buy a second set of ornaments? So our challenge is finding, so if they come in, they buy Celtic ornaments, what else can I offer them that they might buy? Now, I do have some that work well. For example, I have some religious Easter ornaments. So they come in, they buy the religious Easter ornaments, and then they say, oh, hey, they also sell these cross ornaments. That works really well together. But if you're selling something like I said, the Celtic ornaments, I have other Celtic ornaments I can offer them, and sometimes that works. But if you don't have that, if you don't have the ability, if you're selling fidget spinners and vacuums, I mean, those two, you can't upsell and cross-sell those. So having the right products to be able to cross-sell and upsell is also another challenge, because otherwise you're not going to be very profitable. You've got somebody in here, they're already buying. That's like the optimal time to say, hey, buy this too. I mean, they've got their credit card out. They're ready to push the button. I mean, say, hey, you know what? You can get this. You can get a discount, et cetera. So this is all e-commerce strategies that you learn in e-commerce courses and stuff. We're not going to talk more about that, but I just wanted to kind of cover that. And so for those of you who have either purchased Kibo Code or have been interested in it, that is part of the reason why it's so appealing, is that, first of all, we've already covered how we're going to drive traffic, right? We know we're going to be running ads. And the problem I have on mine with my stuff is that my copy is not right for ads. So that's another reason why I'm probably not converting very well. It's great for Amazon, but it's not good for running on Google Ads. So I actually had to stop because it was costing me more money than it was worth to run the Google Ads. And this last year we had other issues. But so now you have to have the right copy. Well, with Kibo Code, you're going to get the copy, you're going to get the images, and then we are going to learn how to do the traffic. So we've got this element and this element done, right? So now when they buy, are we going to be able to offer cross-sells and upsells? Well, with 3 million products in our database, yeah, we are, right? We're definitely going to. And then I guarantee you that they will eventually teach us, if it's not already planned out, email marketing as well. So these, or at least, retargeting, remarketing, all that stuff. So this is what it's basically every single step of the way is solved for us in the Kibo Code. And that's why I really like it. And I've been pushing it. So, but there are other e-commerce models as well that are good. You just may have to, like if you're doing drop shipping from AliExpress, you have to do the copy. If you don't know what converts, do some testing. If you're getting bad images and you have to retake images, you have to do some testing. Find out which images are better. All right. So now let's talk. Last one is affiliate marketing. Okay, I will say when I planned this, I envisioned it being not an hour long. All right, so affiliate marketing. So in the same thing, we've actually got a variation in this as well. We have got our little person. I don't know why I just deleted all that. So we've got our little person, and they've got a really long arm there. Maybe we'll just try to make it another part of the leg. Okay, anyway, so they got a broken leg or something. So they're going to actually be searching for, it just depends on how you do affiliate marketing, but they could be searching for a product that you're an affiliate for, or they could be searching for a solution to a problem, right? And because of that, that means that gives you an opportunity. So you could either that could drive them to, if they're doing, we'll do these little arrows like this, right? So if they are doing this top one, if the product, you're going to have like product review, right? So product review. And then whereas if they're here on the bottom one, you may have solution to problem. So you may say solution to problem X, right? So you're going to address that in that. And then either one of these can either have an email opt-in or a link to a product, right? So either one of those. And optionally, to go back to problem one, you could, if you have people coming, if you're linking to a product, you can then retarget or remarket to them, right? And if they're opting in, you're going to do email marketing. So let's actually do those real quick. So either one of these can go to, either email marketing, so we'll do opt-in and then email marketing, or you could do a link, which would then, you could do retargeting, remarketing, right? I'll just do it like that. So when they search, so if problem number 2 is they search and they don't find you, right? Of course, SEO, search engine optimization. So some affiliate products are highly competitive. So example would be launches. So for example, Kibo Code, we just did that one. And if people are searching that one and they're going to find like a gajillion people, everybody was promoting it because it was the greatest thing. It was literally the greatest thing since sliced bread, or at least since the internet, maybe. So everybody wants to promote that. So it's going to be a lot of competition. People have been doing affiliate marketing for a long time and they have really powerful sites. So if you're competing in affiliate marketing, then launches tend to be more difficult. Not only that, but SEO takes time, right? Search engine optimization takes time. So you're not going to spend all your time trying to rank for something within 10 days because it's not going to work, right? I mean, I had to set up mine like a month in advance. And then I, kept building stuff up to it until the week of. And some people did find me through search, but I wasn't number 1. I was probably not even on page 1. I was on page 1 for some of the keywords. So, but if you have a product in affiliate marketing, there's always products that are available. But if you have ones that are evergreen, which means they're available all the time, then those are ones that are optimal to be able to do search engine optimization. So another option in affiliate marketing, and there's some challenges with these, is that you can run ads. Now, the problem with running ads is that some of the programs do not permit affiliates to run ads, to run paid ads. So you have to get kind of creative in that. If you're running ads, you may need to run ads to a blog post instead. That's a solution to a problem that's then linking to the product, right? A lot of times what they don't want you to do is they don't want you to run the ads to your specific product review because they're running ads. So that's where your challenge comes into. But a solution to this, then, of course, the biggest solution to these challenges is that you capture emails. So you do an opt-in instead. So you're going to talk more about the solution to the problem than you are going to be about the specific product. So you may say, hey, let's see, if you're promoting e-commerce as an example, you may say, hey, the best way to start up an e-commerce business and have an article about that, have people opt in, and then your opt-in can either send them to an evergreen, provide them information about an evergreen product, or provide them when something comes up, you can blast out an email and say, oh, hey, Kibo Code's available, right? So that's kind of the way to do that. Now, problem number 3 is that you're getting traffic, but you're not getting opt-ins and clicks. And again, remember, problem 1 is the 3 to 5%. So you have to go through. Let's change the color a little bit. Let's go to this blue. So problem 3, people are clicking but not converting, right? So we talked about that being problem number 3. And of course, some variation to that. So 1, check copy. Check your headline, font, make sure everything's readable, etc. Right? So, and second thing you can do is make sure you have a call to action. What is it? Do your readers know this? Or I said visitors. Do your visitors know the call to action? Do they want to take the call to action? I have a lot of people that for signups, right? So for free offers or opt-ins, do people really want it? Oh yeah, get my 37,000 page ebook for free. I don't want to read 37,000 pages. And so it's one of those things, but maybe your group does. And that's the kind of element you have to kind of match that up. So if you have a free offer, is it something people really actually want? Get this infographic. You mean the one that I can just right click and save on your page? That's a lot of people will do that. Hey, you want to download this infographic as a PDF? Sign up now. I think the statistical odds of that, I'm sure it used to work quite well, but nowadays not so much. And then of course for clicks, right? If you're like, hey, I want to drive clicks, what does your URL look like? If it looks like it's a long spammy link, because that's what the affiliate link is, then you probably going to get less people clicking on it, if any. But, if you use a shortener or redirect. So like I use Pretty Links, which I'm starting to hate them right now. But they're not the only one I use, but Pretty Links is one of them. And I use Pretty Links to make sure that I can forward it. So they go littlebizresources.com/something, right? They can go straight to that and get that. And that's really easy to do. So if you're not using a shortener or redirect, that could be the problem of why people aren't clicking on it. And then maybe you need a button. Maybe if people are saying, hey, I see this, maybe they're missing it. Maybe they're not seeing it. Maybe it's not highlighting right in their device. But a button that says click here now for this, that's pretty obvious, right? So you put that button in there and maybe a lot more people will click on it. So those are the things. Sorry, I've been talking for a long time and I didn't bring anything down to drink. So those are all elements of conversion, increasing your online conversions for those various areas. So we'll explore this more over the next few weeks. In fact, we're going to be specifically diving into local marketing because I had quite a few requests for that. So I want to go ahead and dive into that. But for now, let's talk about the next steps. So first of all, I have not done a shortener. Let me go ahead and do that real quick for my Little Biz Resources site. I created a lovely page. And then I had one thing planned and then decided to do it a different way. So we're going to make this shorter for you. Of course, I got to find it. Where is it? Oh, maybe I put it as a page, not a post. Maybe. Let me check my pages. I did. So we made it a page instead of a post. That's great. I don't know if I can even change that, but I'm going to go ahead and shorten this. So I'm going to go to, let's go to increase online conversions. I'm going to put my super long URL there and we're going to say convert. So it will be, this is where you can, littlebizresources.com/convert. That's going to be the page that'll have the links to it. But basically, if you're a local business, I like I mentioned, I do have training that's coming out from my digital marketing agency. It won't be necessarily, we'll share it into Lead Generation Source, but it's going to be coming from my digital marketing agency because that's what I do is local marketing through there. So you can either sign up for that training and you can still sign up for that training, or you can also schedule an appointment with me. So sign up for training, which I don't have the sign up quite done yet, but for sign up for training or schedule an appointment. If you're ready to schedule an appointment, the link is on that page. Then if you are doing, let's see, if you're doing e-commerce, I recommend you check out the Kibo code while it's available. It's going to close no matter what by Thursday. So it was unclear when they were going to close initially. And I think at the beginning they said they didn't know. And normally it's a 10-day launch, but they knew that they had a lot of interest in it. So I don't think they officially let anybody know it was going to be for 10 days. So originally the plan was by Friday, but then they talked it out and said, okay, let's keep it open as long as we can because there's so much interest in it. So no matter what, they close by Thursday. They may have to close earlier if they run out of the dedicated products, but I think they anticipate that they should have enough to go through at least Thursday at midnight, and that would be sometime U.S. time. So if you're in another country, plan it on being like, Thursday U.S. time. So just plan on like U.S. time. All right, so check out Kibo code. The link will be on the page, and then of course, if there's always littlebizresources.com/Kibo, which takes you to the review. And then if not, if it's after they close, sign up for the next best thing. I'll say other stuff will come out. I mean, I like Kibo code and I can't imagine anybody else doing stuff, but eventually people are going to start to mimic them. If you hop in now, you have a better chance than if you were to hop in like 6 months, 8 months, a year from now. So, but if you can't, no big deal. Just sign up and we'll send you information about the next one that comes along that we like, because there's plenty that come out. Like we have an Amazon one that we like, but sometimes if I think it closed, but if it didn't, you'll get that information. So again, we'll let you know by email though. See, look at how I did that. That's affiliate marketing there, right? Then if you are an affiliate marketer, oops, if I spell it right, wait, AFF. Gosh, it's really late here. Sorry. All right. So affiliate marketing. So again, you need to use a proven model. I mean, you can learn a lot from online stuff, but I'm going to be honest. Some of the stuff people say out there is borderline, if not all the way illegal. So there's some things you definitely need to make sure you have somebody who is legitimately knowing about it, that they are telling you the truth. They're giving you accurate information. I have, I'm going to say a friend, but I know someone and I have access to their free webinar, right? So I would say if you're interested in affiliate marketing and fine tuning this whole process, check out the webinar, and I will have the link. It's not up yet, but it will be within the next 15 minutes from now. So by the time you see this, it should be ready, and it'll be on this page here, this littlebizresources.com/convert. That one is the one. If you go there, you'll get links to everything. So again, I want to make sure everybody knows that there are a lot of elements I haven't discussed about online conversions, but I've covered the most common ones that I see and that I've heard of other people doing. And if you implement even just a fraction of what I've talked about, you're going to start to beat out your competition. So those are all things to keep in mind. I've gone pretty long now, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. It looks like everybody's gone to sleep. Even Dominic hopped off by now. So thanks. If Dominic comes back, thanks for hopping on. And thanks to you guys for watching this. And again, make sure you head on over here. If you are interested in Kibo code, remember that closes on Thursday. And we'll talk more about local marketing, hopefully towards the end of February, maybe beginning of March at the latest. And maybe sooner, just depends on my schedule. We've got a lot going on personally. So anyway, there's that for you guys. If you have questions, hop them in below and I will get to them as soon as I can. And of course, you can always hop into the Lead Generation Source Facebook group. If you're not a member, please join us. And this is where the Lead Generation Source Facebook group is about generating traffic and leads. And, we focus a lot on social media marketing, but we're bringing in, I love SEO, search engine optimization. And now that a lot of that place rolls into just about everything, I get to talk about it all the time. So it's a lot of fun for me. But hop into the group, ask questions, ask for suggestions. Please don't pitch your products and services. All I do is delete those posts and ban you from the group. Why? Because our group is not about promoting other people's stuff, because we go through a huge vetting process. Before I bring you Kibo code, I vet it, right? I don't bring you something. So if somebody just comes in and says, hey, buy my leads from me, that's going to get banned. If you're like, oh, hey, I like this product, it's going to get banned, because I don't have time to vet every little URL that gets put in there. And we have a ton of spammers. So just know that, if you have a legitimate question like, hey, how do I do this or whatever, that's fine. But if you don't, or if comments are fine, everything. But if you just are in there to pitch your own stuff and you're not actually interested in helping each other, then just don't bother joining, because like I said, the second you post something, I will probably get angry. And one day I'll have somebody that can find you and start spamming your pages. It just takes a lot of time to vet everything. If there's something you specifically have an offer and you do want me to review it, just contact me. And depending on what it is, we may have you on and do something. But yeah, that's it for now. I appreciate you guys listening, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.